And that's right, we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Peace and blessings, everyone. Yes, we are back with the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. On tonight's engaging and dynamic episode, we have Danielle Lewis, electric vehicle systems engineer and running enthusiast, who will be building with us on electric cars and the women who make them. Stay tuned for more of this great, awesome episode after this, family. Again, I love that intro so much. It's so
Production
cool.
is grade
Thank you
A.
so much. Thank you so much. We try to keep it pushing. That production quality got to be pristine.
Uh-huh.
Everyone, again, welcome, welcome back. This is, like always, the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We are currently live at the STEM Files on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, like the current video, share with your friends, family, colleagues, etc. Also, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the STEM Files. I am your humble co-host, Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabrillion Engineer. I am a civilian mechanical engineer focusing on naval ship fluid systems with a background in material science and engineering, the study of the various material classes and how their properties are influenced by their crystalline and non-crystalline structures. Ooh.
It's
I'm
a
also
mouthful.
typically joined by my more illustrious co-host, Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. He's a biomedical research scientist with a background in uh, biomedical pathobiology, or excuse me, cardiovascular pathobiology, which is a study of how diseases form in the heart and other blood vessels. Him and his lovely wife, Sister Kiera, are also recent. Um, they just got into medical school as well. So big congrats to them. May God bless them as they continue on that journey. So we're super excited as they continue down that path. But as we always say when we come on the show isn't about, or this great networking opportunity isn't about us. We can talk for days about who we are, what we do. It's about who we bring on to the platform to add value to you all's lives, your evenings, and hopefully inspire you to not only go into STEM, but to meet and overcome all obstacles in your path and charge forward with any dreams that you may have. So without further ado, we want to introduce to some and present to all our wonderful guests, Danielle Lewis. How you doing, Queen?
Hi, doing good, doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, this is actually part two. Danielle's been on with us before, and it was a great, awesome episode. So make sure, if you haven't seen that one, go back into our archives on YouTube and watch that episode as well. But we're going to go into and give you just as much value, if not more, on this one. So without further ado, just give us a little introduction about yourself, who you are, what you do in STEM, and how that all is transpiring today.
Okay, sure. So I'm Danielle Lewis. I'm from Pell City, Alabama. That's not that far from Birmingham, Alabama. If y'all are probably more familiar with Birmingham, right? I studied math and mechanical engineering at Oakwood University and University of Alabama in Huntsville. And Oakwood is a small HBCU down there in Huntsville, Alabama. So, but they don't have their own engineering program. So that's why I had to go to UAH. So I studied math and mechanical engineering. I interned for Cummins Inc. Twice. Really got connected with that company right out, even during school and right after school. They were very involved, like making sure I had what I needed, getting scholarships, and getting connected with some of the different initiatives that they have. They have something called the Cummins Black Network. That's something that I'm a part of. And when I first joined into Cummins after my 2 internships, there's something called the Engineering Development Program. And that's a 3.5-year rotation program where you get to, get a taste of what Cummins has to offer, right? So I got to work in current product support. I got to work in R&D, the research and development. I also got to work in something called aftermarket. So that's after the parts get used up, like engine parts, for example, get used up, and we bring them back, and then we like refurbish them and make them as good as what they were, good as new, right?
Nice.
And then also what I'm doing now, my last rotation was in vehicle integration in the same area that I'm in now, which is dealing with electric vehicles, demo electric vehicles. So from that last rotation, I just stayed there and then took off, stayed in that same group. I've been working there for about 3 years now. And my new title is systems engineer product specialist. So that's a little bit about me. You already mentioned I like running, like basketball, like shopping,
Yes.
all those fun stuff. We can talk about that after.
Absolutely. I enjoy when I do get out. If I do run, I do enjoy running. Definitely basketball, and I like shopping as well. So we seem to have a lot in common. I don't know who your favorite hooper is, so we might differ there. That might be something we got to come back to. Make sure that you're a sister of the cloth. So we gonna have to have that conversation a little later.
Okay.
But so as I'm listening to what you're saying, it's very interesting because you seem to have touched a lot of the equipment or vehicle life cycle, if you will. You talked about the R&D going all the way to the other, and I do some of this as well in terms of like acquisition life cycle for naval ship fluid systems, like from procurement through like shipping of material. You get a little bit into like testing, and then you have when it's in service and everything as well. So but let's take a step back when we go into. We already heard about kind of what you've done and what you're doing now in terms of the integration in the software and the product specialist aspect. But if we were to get to the base, and at the STEM files, we'd like to unpack terms, right?
Yeah.
So, what is an electric vehicle, and why are electric vehicles or alternative energy vehicles more broadly so popular now? What are some of their advantages?
Sure. So an electric vehicle is something that is powered by a battery. So they're referred to as battery electric vehicles. You might hear something called a hybrid vehicle. That's where it has a battery as an energy source and the engine as an energy source. So those two are working together to be able to spin the wheels and then, of course, propel the vehicle down the road. Some of the advantages of electric vehicles are they're pretty fast, like the way for the electrical energy to turn to mechanical energy and the electric motor is fast, right? So when people say like instant torque, all that stuff,
Right.
that's one thing. I guess from a environmental standpoint, they're greener, right? So if you can think of the amount of like CO2 and particulate matter that would come out of diesel engines, for example, or just the exhaust coming out of engines, even with the after treatment system, which is the thing that cleans the exhaust, it would still be greener with the electric vehicle. You wouldn't be producing those pollutants that go out into the atmosphere. And so some of the big pushes around electric vehicles are in like urban communities and big cities because of the pollution and the noise pollution as well. So they're also quieter. I guess I forgot to mention that. So those are the things that come to mind when I think of the advantages of electric vehicles. It's also like the future, right? That's what everybody thinks. They think of you don't want to be tied to a gas station necessarily, but you can use this thing that's, I would say, more renewable, not as usable as like fuel. So those are the things
Mm,
that come to mind.
absolutely. That was one of the things I was going to add, for verification, and you said it. So you mentioned the concept of green energy and lower emissions. I'm electric, I'm not burning
Yes.
off those fossil fuels. I'm not getting that CO2 in the air.
Yeah.
You talked about the energy conversion or turnover, that efficiency of energy, where
Yeah.
so it doesn't take as much, or you're not using as much energy to get your car started, to get to certain speeds, to move
Hmm.
up and down the roads. And obviously the sound, right? And this is something that I watched a movie. I forget what the movie
Hmm.
was, but it was the innovation aspect of, there was these gentlemen working on cars. They had a company, and they had a process where as though they could make electric cars have muscle engines. So basically,
Huh.
you get that sound that
Uh-huh.
you like from like that traditional American muscle car, but you still have
Uh-huh.
the green aspect of it being an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
So I know, like for certain car buffs, that lack of a sound in terms of that engine turnover and whatnot may or may
Yes.
not be attractive, depending on what type of vehicles you like. But
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
That's funny too, because I have seen it both ways, right? I've
Hmm.
seen, oh wow, the people that are like, oh wow, look at this green energy. We're going toward a more sustainable energy. It's going to be better. And then the other people, I guess in the part of the country that, and the people you say like real buffs, car buffs, they're like, oh man, like this is this isn't the way to go. So
Right.
you have to. I guess the one that you're talking about, like that's a good middle ground, like the best of both worlds kind of thing. So I got to look that up.
So, so talk to us a bit more about your day to day. And obviously, if there are things you can't discuss, we don't want to get into any proprietary information or
Yeah.
whatnot. But when you talk about uh, being a systems engineer as it pertains to electric vehicles and working on the software integration for the demo, what does that really mean, and what does that entail? What are some of the challenges that you've experienced
Uh-huh.
in the workplace, and how have you overcome them with your general engineering mind, being a problem solver and critical thinker? I know that was a multi-part question, but
Yeah, so I'll start with the first part. So what day to day, what does a systems engineer do? And so when I think system engineer, the first thing is like big picture. I think big picture. So I think how is this system? For me, it's going to be a vehicle. That might be a mini excavator, that might be a van, that might be like a truck or whatever. How is this vehicle going to work like you expect that vehicle to work? And so what that means is, how does the motor, does it spin at the right speeds that we want it to spin? When we try to charge the batteries, does it charge the way that we want it to charge in the amount of time that we want it to charge? And things like that. If there was something wrong, does the battery communicate that something's wrong? How do we take action? How do we address it? And then I guess the overarching uh, component is something called the system control module. And so that's the thing that says, hey, looking at the battery's okay. Hey, I'm looking at the motor's okay. Hey, I'm looking at the charger. Oh, something might be wrong with the charger. Let me go take an action. And so the integration of all of those things working together, one to understand how what handshakes there are, to be able to make it turn on when we want it to turn on, to turn off when we want it to turn off. Those different handshakes is what I'm responsible for, to again deliver a fully functioning vehicle. Did,
Mm.
did, did that answer the first question?
No, it definitely
Okay.
did. And as an engineer as well, right? I'm following along, and it's so funny because you can be an engineer in any industry, right? You could be
Uh-huh.
material science, mechanical, industrial, civil, what have you,
Yeah.
and you could talk to another engineer, and your understanding will be truly tested, especially if you have not worked in that arena. So I'm sitting here as a technically minded person, and
Yeah.
I'm hanging on to every word you're saying. I'm like, okay, handshakes, for example.
Uh-huh.
When you said handshakes, are you talking about, is that from like a circuit perspective, or just like from in terms of communication from one point to the next, that this is communicating properly so that this outcome occurs with this initial stimulus?
Yeah, yeah, a little bit of both actually. So you had a good point that you just added. So the hardware side as well. So
Hmm.
there might be physical outputs that say when I read the temperature on this sensor, for example, when I read the temperature on this sensor is saying, hey, this thing is too hot, so I'm going to turn this fan on, for example. So
Hmm.
that's a handshake. That's a criteria, an enable criteria that we will say, okay, check for this, and then execute, XYZ. So from a physical hardware standpoint, that might be a handshake. There are different handshakes as far as what it takes for a component to work. So, for example, a charger, the charger that charges your battery in the vehicle, just like how you plug in your iPhone or whatever your phone, you plug in your charger. Uh, there's some handshakes that happen there. So first is the system control module, right? This is the brains, the coach, or whatever you want to say, the brains of it. It will say, hey, someone plugged in a charge in a charge gun. That means the user must want to charge this vehicle. And so when the system control module detects that, its next step, its next sequence is to say to the charger to tell it what voltage it needs to be at, to tell it what current it needs to provide to the batteries. So that would be a next, example handshake. And then if there was some error, the charger's responsibility is to say, hey, there's something wrong. And then the system control module says, hey, I got this alert. I need to execute X, Y, and Z to make sure that we stop charging, for example. So those are a few handshakes. Some of those, like you said, some of those could be hardwired, like physical, or they can be like communication. There's something that I learned since being at Cummins. I think it's been really helpful, me understanding it. It's something called controller area network, CAN messages. Have you used that in the work that you do at all? That's like a
I
communication
have not.
protocol. Okay, yeah.
Mm-mm.
So it's pretty cool because it's a standard. It's like a SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers standard, and
Okay.
so it's like, okay, this device, it normally has a source address. It has like its name, right? So this device says, hey, I'm here, and these are the messages that I'm going to send to you. And then if your other devices follow that standard, they can like translate it and understand what it's saying, right? So that's the communication part of it, which is a whole nother can of worms, but it's been very helpful with the work that I've been doing. And I think in like any vehicle really, um, there you probably have like CAN communication in your vehicles that I wouldn't have thought about besides, before working in the automotive industry myself.
Mm. Wow. That was a lot. But
Yeah.
if I'm no, but as I'm listening, what I liken it unto is like these handshakes that you have purview over, making sure they're working. So my understanding is are you both presenting or implementing and checking that the handshakes or integration works, or are you presented with a quote unquote final product that is supposed to work a certain way, and then you go through checks to ensure that it's working in that way according to how the handshakes are to be laid out.
Uh-huh. It's been both before.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been
Gotcha.
both. So
Okay.
with this one that I've been working on, it's been more so me developing it. So we get this for this project, it was all new. So it's like, okay, we got this new charger, this new motor, this other thing. So you have to create the handshakes to in the first place and then test them. Yeah.
Mm. I liken it unto communication on a social level. Like, for those listening, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but communication is key
Mm-hmm.
in from a technological perspective or STEM perspective, from components as well as interpersonal relations when it comes to people. If I'm not going through the proper channels, or if we're not connecting properly as people, person to person,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a less than ideal outcome, which could be an argument or whatever
Yeah.
we're to work on together, be implemented properly. So to be able to meet in the middle and to clearly articulate an idea and have it reciprocated or absorbed and then moved out on in the way it was presented becomes key for high level execution on a number of levels.
Yeah.
So, you start to be able to learn a lot as a human being interacting with other human beings from the technology that you work on. I think that's one of the beauties of engineering, because if you follow a lot of engineering principles and you look at what works technologically in terms of creating a system and having a system work appropriately, it can definitely be likened to having a team or working in a small or large team and having that team work effectively, because you are too on that level instituting and verifying that the proper handshakes, communication channels, etc., are being fulfilled properly. So
Yeah.
I hope that made sense, because like that's how I'm kind of rationalizing in my head. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's I'll say I think it's cool, and it's interesting too, because like what you were saying about communicating as people, making sure that everyone's understanding like the bigger picture, everybody's understanding like what the assignment is or whatever. And so with this CAN communication thing, one of the like intricacies of it is you can only have one person or one device that's a source address that has its own source address, a specific source address. So someone can't be like, hey, I'm the coach, and the other person like, hey, I'm the coach. Like they can't both be saying that this is me, and you gotta play your own role,
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, you
Come
gotta
on.
stay in your lane a little bit.
Stay in your lane.
So
if
everybody
your job,
right,
and like when you in the basketball team, like, look, what you do? You stay in the corner and you hit the corner three.
Yeah.
Don't try to put the ball on the floor and move off the pick and step back. Look, when I move through and I see you out the left side of my eye and I kick it out, knock that down.
Yeah.
That's
back to basketball now.
But look, that's what, like, for me, either I'm explaining things as an engineer, or I'm relating it back to dance, relating back to sports. So people tend to understand it that way. But know your role. It reminds you, and this is getting into the biological sciences. I talked to Tariq about this a lot because this is his wheelhouse. The human body doesn't compete with itself, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the liver doesn't worry about what the heart's doing, doesn't worry about what your elbow's doing, what your pancreas is doing, what your kidneys are doing. Everything in the body is not even beating or pulsating at the same pace, but they're all doing what they're supposed to do, hopefully properly, for the sustainment of the overall system that is the human being, right? So same thing with these handshakes, same thing with interpersonal relations. Like, these large, multifaceted, level systems that are these vehicles only work as well as the individual components' ability to do their jobs. Right. So if you don't have the connection, if you don't have the proper handshakes, if you're not communicating or that signal isn't going through correctly, then your car is not going to respond properly. So that's dope. That's dope. So let's talk a little bit about innovation, right? We're already in a very innovative space. When you talk about electric vehicles, you think about the Teslas of the world and whatnot. Where do you see electric vehicles going in the next year to 5 years or so? What's the current cutting edge of that? And from where you are now, what do you see yourself? What would you like to work, or what aspect of these vehicles in terms of innovation would you like to work going forward?
So good question. I'm trying to think. So in the next 1 to 2 years, I feel like it's going fast, right? So I see something in the news, just even like Cummins side, just like my company side. So hey, there's some new fuel cell thing, or hey, there's some new electric vehicle thing. So if I can just think of it in terms of what I see one company doing, I can think of all the different, like you said, the Teslas, the whole Silicon Valley side of thing. I think it's really going to get to a point where it's taking off more than just the I don't know how to say, the the non-electric people, right? It's gonna be
Hmm.
more like everyday. It's just gonna turn into like a more everyday thing. Like I remember the first Tesla I saw like on the road.
Right.
I was like, what is that? Like the little symbol. I was like, what is that?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and I looked it up. I was like, Tesla. This was like, I don't know, 7 years ago. I was like, Tesla, what is that? But now you like, I see so many Teslas. I see so many, electric vehicles. Um, a lot of OEMs, original equipment manufacturers that have
Manufacturers.
their own version of it. So I think it's just going to keep getting more widespread, to the point where you're seeing all these like charging stations and all that. So I think it's going to be, like I said, just going to become an everyday thing. I might invest in a electric vehicle one of these days, when I get a new car. We'll see. But
Okay.
yeah, when I think about what I see myself doing, in the future with as far as electric vehicles are concerned, I like the vehicle side of things, right? The operation side of things, right? So in other roles that I've been in that weren't the full vehicle, right? You have your one component that you're working on. You're working on your engine, or previously I was working on the after treatment system, which is what I was saying, cleans the exhaust coming out of the engine. And so that's the one thing at a time, right? But if you think about the fact that, okay, the engine's good, but the after treatment's not good, or something, for example, then overall your system is also not good, right? So
Mm,
if you think about it as the whole system, and you have a place and a control and um a aspect that you control in it, the whole system, you kind of can ensure that it's working, the whole thing is going to work right, which I think is pretty cool. Also the human centered design part of it. So when you get into it, you open the door, you see the LED lights everywhere, or you see the display like looking cool, and you're like, this is like, you're in the car and like, hey, this is cool. Like you feel futuristic, and on top of the fact that it's supposed to get you from point A to point B, right? So those features are really something that excites a customer. So those things, that the overall system and the human centered design part of it, I think is really cool, that I would want to be involved in.
wow. So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about like your primary care physician or more holistic doctor, as opposed to maybe a cardiologist or endocrinologist or epidemiologist or what have you. Um, or what I'm trying to say is a doctor who may specialize, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like I specialize in this area and I can talk to you all about this particular part of the body and what it does, if it's working or not, but the issue may not even be there. So to be able to take a step back and have a very
Mhm.
holistic approach of the body, as a whole, and be able to get to like the source of what may be wrong, because I have maybe some level of knowledge on multiple systems, you
Uh-huh.
know, to be able to see, okay, this is working as a whole, so you're
Yes.
holistically healthy versus like focusing in here. Now, specializing is needed from time to time, but like I think what you're expressing is being able to see the more of the whole picture as opposed to working specifically on a certain aspect of the vehicle to something that you aspire to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it's cool too, because like, on this project that I've been working with, more specifically being like the controls lead. So that's different from, the previous roles, even in the EV space where I was just testing it. It was already done, right? Then I go and I test it, or some fault is happening. Hey, troubleshoot this fault, and fix it, and when it's fixed, come back to us and tell us what you learned. But on this one, it's like I got to see it from concept to component selection, to design, to integrating, building the thing, and now testing it, right? So
Right.
like, again, that full life cycle is like, you don't it's something that is very rewarding to see, like, your baby growing up.
Right.
And
Right.
and you had a hand in helping that and helping it be successful. So something I very feel very fortunate to be a part of.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, believe it or not, for those watching us and also for us here, we are halfway through the show already. Um, it's crazy how quickly the show passes when you're having fun and also having high level conversation.
Mhm.
Again, family, we are live via the STEM Files on Facebook and YouTube. That's the STEM Files on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure to follow us on those platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go back and rewatch old or archived episodes to really see what we're about and how we strive to highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the STEM Files as well as personally, Jabrillion_engineer and at Tariq Cardiac on Instagram as well. At this point, I definitely want to highlight a couple of things. So as we were uh, sourcing some information and getting some images, we came across a few things
Uh-huh.
that we wanted to highlight and kind of go into. So
Oh yeah.
these are some vehicles that you've worked on, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about these unpack. So what do we some people may see what we're looking at. What are we looking at?
Yeah.
And what is some of the story behind these?
Yeah, so on the top left, well, at least on my top left, that's a electric mini excavator. So it might not be this exact picture per se, but that's one that I've worked with this program before. And this is the one I was talking about. Like to see it from concept to design to executing. It's really cool to see. It's being tested right now, so like yeah, it's very rewarding to. And there was some long nights with that one, so
Mm,
particularly hold that one dear. That was like my first I would say big controls lead project. Yeah, so working with that one was good. um the one in the top right, so there's a Bluebird Electric Bus, obviously a school bus,
mm-hmm.
that is uh electric bus. And what I did with that one was helping the thing I was talking about, the troubleshooting, right? So there was an issue going on. I had to travel to Georgia where they're built at. I had to travel to California where they're also built out in that also built out in California. So just trying to troubleshoot that one, get down to the bottom of it, trying to understand, okay, what's happening, why is it happening on this one and not on this one, really trying to do the fault tree analysis, right, around what and narrow it down to what caused the failure. That one was also a little bit of a headache, but the experience with traveling and being at the scene of the crime, as they would say, was very helpful, understanding what it looks like when they're built, what it looks like as far as uh, again, the differences between them when they're being when the components are being installed. That can all play a role into what makes each of the vehicles unique and what might make one vehicle not work as well as the other, or have an issue not as another. And then the last one, I worked a little bit with this one. It's the AOS truck. That's the electric vehicle. This is the reason why I wanted to get into the New Power business unit.
Mm,
So when I was in my controls rotation, so I think I told you I studied mechanical engineering,
right.
but in the engineering development program, I was like, okay, I want to understand more about controls. I want to understand more about that side of things, not exactly the pure mechanical side of things. And so while I was at the Cummins Technical Center, that's where a lot of the research and development is happening. And I was in the controls rotation. I saw this vehicle, showcased. That would have been in 2018, I want to say 2018, somewhere around that time. And I was like, wow, I could see myself being a part of that team, being a part of the next big thing that's happening at Cummins. And so that, the rest is history.
Mm, wow, that's dope. really insightful. Three distinctly different vehicles for different purposes.
Mhm.
And all three of those, were they 100% electric, or were any of those hybrids?
They were all electric. Those are all
Okay,
electric. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So battery electric vehicles.
Battery electric vehicles.
hmm
Okay, that's what's up. So I guess continuing on, one thing that I had a question about. I know my wife and I were talking about this, something in the news as it pertains to, I think, Tesla and another company. Does Cummins do anything, or is there any, I guess, research from your perspective, or from your knowledge being done for integrating electric and solar power with vehicles?
Hmm.
And if not at Cummins, have you looked into that as a viable option for cars in the future?
Uh-huh. That's a good question because I've thought about it before, but I
Hmm.
can't say that I know, per my knowledge, obviously, of if that's something that we're investigating. But you know, all the sunny places that are in the world, all the sunny places that are in America, it
Hmm.
seems like it wouldn't be a bad idea, strap some solar panels on top of the on top of the roof of the bus or the, whatever, and see what energy you can get in that sense from solar power. Um, if it's imagine a vehicle is just sitting all day, just like a roof, on your house. Seems like a great idea. What was the thing that y'all were looking at? Was it like a
I ha-
documentary or something?
I have to go back and ask and like and look it up. I might try to DM you about it on social media, but
Yeah,
I forget the exact context. But that was the general thought process or concept that was
yeah.
being sought after, or it's either something that's currently in play and has been developed, or trying to be developed. I was just curious
Uh
from your
huh.
perspective if you've seen anything about that in general, like on
Yeah,
social media or in the news, or if there's like even have worked on something like that. So
yeah.
I'll get
That's
I'll get
cool
back
though.
to you on that. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know because I remember now that you mention it. Like, I remember in my I don't know sixth grade science book some
Hmm.
car that was like super flat like this, but it was
Okay,
solar panels on the top. So I'm sure that's what it looked like. It was like solar panels on the top. So I'm sure that concept is out there. Someone has tried that. I don't know if it got past proof of concept or whatever, but that
got you.
that would be cool.
Cool. So um, let's switch gears a little bit. We talked about this more in the first session. We've been very high technical, but I do am curious about what's been going on with HBCU STEM education and the other platform that you run and initiative
Uh-huh.
that you run. Last time we had you on, it was the night before a 5K, and I
Uh-huh.
forget the context. It was a fundraiser. I'm forgetting the context,
Yeah.
but where is your program at today? What's
Uh-huh.
happened between the last the several months in this hiatus that we had you on the show,
Yeah.
and where are we today?
Yeah. So where we are today, we're officially an LLC. I don't know if I may have shared that good news. Thank you. Thank you. So back in May, that was our first annual, first annual HBCU STEM education run. We were able to raise over $2,500 for STEM students at Oakwood University. So that's going to be
Nice,
awarded this fall. Super excited about that. That's where I went to school. So I had to, of course, give back.
got
That was
to.
my heart was. Yeah. And, we had 56 runners over 13 states. And that's the cool part to me, honestly. Like, I'm in Indiana. Where are y'all? I forgot where y'all are.
So I'm in Philly, Tariq's in Virginia.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I remember you said Virginia. Because like everybody, you don't gotta be on my time. You can be on your own time, your own
Right,
thing. That's the cool part about it being a virtual event. And from there we decided we're gonna do another one this fall. So
nice.
technically it is the night before again because we're kicking off tomorrow. Where we have something called the Women in STEM Walkathon this time.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's the full month of October, right? So you
Hmm.
have the full month, get as many miles in as possible. That's walking, that's running, that's biking, the point of this one is really more than just saying, hey, I did that 5K, or hey, I finished it. The point of this one is consistency, right? Consistency is key. Stay motivated throughout the whole month. It's easy to kind of be sedentary, and especially when it's getting yeah, especially when it's getting colder, all of that. So this is a challenge to anybody that's interested in getting a little bit of motivation when it's getting colder, anybody that wants to set a personal goal. I'm trying to walk at least 40 miles in the month of October.
And 40 miles in the month of October.
Yeah,
okay,
40 miles. Yeah. So I thought, hey, that's attainable. Set something that's attainable for yourself. So if I walk at least, if I walked about a mile a day, I would be almost there. And some days I might double up or whatever. So I think I'll get there. You can set your own goal. And I think the other best part, besides that it's virtual, is the money is going for scholarships, right? And this time, yes.
Talk that school money. School money.
Right, because school is expensive, right? So if you've heard of Spelman College, that's the HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia. It's an all-girls school. And so with this event, we're going to be helping two underrepresented groups, right? We're helping African Americans, and we're helping women in STEM, right? So there's a disproportionate amount of women that choose to go into the STEM fields. And the fact that to be honest, Spelman is very expensive. And so school in general is expensive, right? So we want to make sure we can, of course, give back in that way and help these bright young women that are interested in science, technology, engineering, and math along their journey. And plus, I guess I didn't mention other teammate. Her name is India Hester, and she's a Spelman alum. So that was our next, of course, we gotta shout them out, give back to them. So thank you. Oh, so sweet. So I'm excited.
Yep, that's my big brother and mentor, Brother Gregory, tapping in with us. Thank you, Brother Gregory. Appreciate it. Okay, and look, I gotta get with my wife on this walk-a-thon. So shoot, it's funny you mentioned Spelman, meaning Atlanta. My wife's from Atlanta, so I feel like I see it as a sign whenever like somebody mentions Atlanta and everything. I'm like, Lord, like I feel like I'm being pulled. I say I'm Philly born and bred, so like I always try to keep that energy, you know what I'm saying, in the household. But definitely gonna have to try to tap into this walk-a-thon though. Got the whole October, get those steps in and everything, and it'll get me, because I believe it or not, I've been sedentary, and with this weather changing, I'm used to it, but it's like you want to stay under them covers a little bit longer. You want to stay inside a little bit longer. It's like it's a little cold out. Not today.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get that in. Absolutely.
Yeah. So and a little bit about the different events that are out there too. There's 3 different events, so something for everyone too. So there's just, hey, I want to participate. We'll give you a little thank you package. I think I got let me show you real quick.
Okay.
We got some just some tokens, to say, hey, thanks for supporting. So we got some face masks.
Nice.
HBCU STEM education run. Some tokens, some stickers and things like that. Say, hey, I just want to participate. If you want to get a shirt, it's a little bit more, because to help cover the cost of the shirt, that'll say Women in STEM Walkathon on it. I turned miles into money at the Women in STEM Walkathon. And also a VIP ticket, which this is something we're doing new. So with all our sponsors, shout out to our sponsors. Because they're hosting different experience packages. So, a beauty consultation, vegan cooking class, all of those things. STEM media, they have a master class. I forget the exact name of it, but hosting a master class is like 50% off. And you get like access to a $50 raffle too. So that's covering part of your ticket if you win too. So just some things that are out there. Definitely, if y'all are interested, I encourage you to register. I would appreciate it.
So this is awesome, family. Look, we about 45 minutes into the show. We've listened to Sis go into great detail on her day to day being an electric vehicle systems engineer. Talked about batteries. Talked about proper handshakes and communication amongst the components within the system. We talked about purely electric vehicles, electric hybrid vehicles. We talked about the different positions that she's held and how she's kind of touched the entire life cycle when it comes to these automotives. But we also found out that she's well rounded. Not only does she like to run, but she has an LLC, right? Which she's striving to give back, not only physically and through health, but also monetarily to help some of our children go to school and achieve at a high level. So for everyone watching and or listening, one of the reasons why I wanted her to highlight that is because being in STEM doesn't mean that you're a quote unquote one trick pony that all you do is work all day. Not only do we have lives, but we're well rounded individuals. So you can pursue, any aspect of STEM, any science, technology, engineering, mathematics, to get your PhD, be in industry, be in government, be an entrepreneur, but also have a passion that takes you in a seemingly different route, but still helps complete you and help your fellow man. So,
Yeah.
the sky is the limit for things as long as you put your mind to it and remain consistent. One of the
Yeah.
things for this show is consistency. So definitely, God bless with that. I'm gonna do my best to tap in because Lord knows I need it. Got to get back on my fitness grind. But as we start to get to the end of the show, I do want to highlight something else. So this is our social media tap in where we basically take a picture from social media and we trying to figure out what's going on. Like you got to tell us, help me out, because I can speculate and be all wrong. So why don't you talk to us? What's going on here? What are we looking at? What was going through your mind when you took this picture? What's going on?
Yeah, so this is the one that I told y'all was my first controls like lead project, right? So this was the one that gave me some long nights, but it was worth it. And this one is my baby, right? So this is an electric vehicle, electric mini excavator that we partnered with Hyundai on. It's really cool because it's the first one like it. I mean that Hyundai has. So to be able to be a part of that team, to go from the concept to the design to it, working. It's just cool. Like, I guess that's the only thing I can say. Like, it's cool, it's rewarding, it's fulfilling. And when you say what was going through my mind in this picture, you probably can't tell, but I was really smiling under that mask, right?
I feel like I could see it. I feel like I could see it. You definitely seem very happy.
Yeah, like I was feeling strong after seeing it come to fruition, right? So that's something that I won't forget this project for sure.
Awesome.
And a great team of people that helped, that worked with. Some people hadn't worked with before, and getting to be on a project team, so where everybody, again, right, everybody plays their role. Shooting guard, point guard, all that, everybody played their role. So yeah, it was really good.
Absolutely. That's what's up. We're coming back to that word team again. Like, even though STEM in recent years through cinema and movies has been made very sexy. You got the Tony Starks of the world. That's not how we don't do engineering like that. We don't go in our own little bubble with our with our AI and our multiple machines and just make stuff. We come in. We got our notepads and laptops and tablets and in a circle with adult rocket fuel, which is coffee, and we sit around and we go through systems and processes, and we workshop and go over documentation to be able to deliver a final product. So one thing I'm thankful for, like going through school, is I was never under the impression that I'd be able to do engineering or be a high level engineer by myself. It's like, yes, you have to have a requisite knowledge base, and you do your best to excel in certain courses and to let your skill sets in problem solving, critical thinking, and cross teaming, whatever, show forth. But those are only as good as your ability to communicate and work well in teams and work to your strengths, and also be able to leverage the strengths of others and cover their weaknesses. So everything that you just said was right on the money.
Yeah.
So
that's something engineers get a bad rap for too. The communication side of things, right? So
Right. Right.
you know, that don't lose sight of how important that is. Like, you could be the
Absolutely.
smartest person in the room, but if you can't convey it or get that message across, you know, it doesn't really help.
Right. And there's not always someone else who can be, you know, gotten, if you will, to do so. So one of the things I've people have said to me before is like, you don't seem like an engineer. And I would respond, well, how many do you know? You know, and just because I speak well and I'm not to myself, I'm extroverted and all these things, to
Mhm.
be technical seems to be oxymoronic. But to be honest, you have a lot of us who don't necessarily speak with, or are not readily speaking to people, speak not only speak well, but are looking to communicate at a high level and looking to be able to be in front of people, convey a topic. One
Mhm.
of the things that we were talking about, I think, on a previous show was, you really don't know that you understand something fully if you can't convey it or communicate it to the layperson. And that doesn't mean someone who's supremely inept, but at least doesn't know your topic as much as you do. So if I'm
Yes.
trying to explain, what I do for a living, mechanical engineering or material science, to, a 5-year-old, 9-year-old, they should be able to understand it at that level, or understand what it is,
Yes.
in a way that's palatable to them, and they really get it. I'm
Yes.
going to explain it differently than I'm going to explain it to a colleague. So
Yeah.
all in all, say that all to say communication is key. Keep working on
Mhm.
your communication skills, and continue to move forward. So as we close out, we have about 10 minutes left. We
Uh-huh.
want to do something that has shown to be very rewarding and enlightening in previous shows, where we want
Uh-huh.
to shift the table at this point. So I've been the interviewer for this 50 minutes, and you've been interviewee. So I'm
Uh-huh.
going to allow you to be the interviewer at this point. And if you have any questions for myself about the STEM
Uh-huh.
files, about our parent company, Original Man Scientific, about my personal day to day or what have you, anything STEM related or in general, you'll feel free to ask at this time.
Okay. So you said you ought to be able to explain about what you do to a 9-year-old or a 5-year-old. What
Oh no.
what I want to hear is what's your what, because like the production right at the beginning is like, okay, metal, material science, all that. So what's um the the layperson description?
Right. So if I was to explain, I got to go back to material science, right? So I would explain, okay, as a material scientist or one who has studied material science or materials engineering, I would say, hey, well, everything's made out of something, right? Wherever you look around, you have different objects that you see that have certain material qualities, and the ability for someone to uh, depending on what they're for, you're going to create them with certain materials. So I would say,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm building a bridge, I wouldn't make a bridge out of grass, would I? And they might say no. I say, well, why? Well, grass is easily snapped, so it's brittle. Grass
Yes.
would fail when it gets cold because it'll freeze over, and that integrity would just be all lost, right? I would need something that's going to hold up to a lot of cars driving over it. That's going to be able to not fail in a aquatic environment, because a lot of times you have those pillars of bridges in water, salt water or fresh water, right? So I would need something strong. I would need something that is potentially pliable or can be moved in and out of its initial form over time, as heat expands it and the cold air contracts it and things like that. So the ability to understand what your different materials are, whether it's plastics, metals, semiconductors, or more conducting materials, basically more electricity can run through it easily or not. The ability to understand that allows you to pick and to pick the proper materials for certain applications.
Yeah.
So I would explain it something like that. Now, in terms of my day to day, I would say, in terms of what I do for ships, very simply, I work on ship fluid systems, and I assist in helping ships see. So I work on what's called sonar systems and their
Okay.
pressurization, making sure that those components are working properly, that this particular system is able to pressurize properly, depressurize properly, and maintain its integrity as ships travel through different sea states. So
Okay.
something as simple as that. So
Okay.
I could go on and on, but I'll try
Yeah.
to keep it very short and sweet like that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. No bridges out of grass. That
Right.
makes sense. Oh, cool. I think. Yeah. You answered my question. You answered my question. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
And
Anything
sorry, I
else?
think I cut out there. Someone called me. I tried to close it
Oh
real
no,
quick.
I got
Sorry.
no. I think you stayed on. I
Okay.
didn't miss anything. You're
Okay.
good.
Good.
So as we close, is there anything else you'd like to know?
Um. Uh. No. Maybe for the next episode. Whenever I come
Okay.
back for the
Hey,
next
part three.
episode.
Come on now. She done already wrote it out. I said, look, everyone, for when you're listening, right? If you yourself, you have someone in mind that you would like to be on the platform, this is your platform. We, like I said, we do our best to highlight those of us who are black in STEM, black and brown in STEM, and really doing great things because we need to create a network amongst ourselves. So we know that we are here, we are
Yeah.
doing things at a high level, and we are present to assist each other as need be. And we're also an inspiration for you, whether or not you want to go into STEM or you just have a goal that you're trying to meet. So this is your platform. You can come on as many times as you would like. Let us know when you got something new you want to put forth. If you got a presentation you want to do, the STEM files is where you come and do that and work on your science communication. Also let people know what you got going on. So absolutely, we ready for that part three whenever you are.
Awesome. And I need to have y'all on. So
Oh yeah,
stay
oh yeah.
tuned for that.
Absolutely. We're going to work that out. So at this time, I also want to make one more highlight before we close. So I would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone that me and Brother Tariq are proud FOI, or Fruit of Islam of the Nation of Islam. And this is a highlight of the number one, not just black owned and operated newspaper, but number one news source on the planet. That's why I said it. This is the Final Call newspaper, the latest edition of the Final Call is titled No Respect for Black Life. Please, if you are interested in unadulterated truth, local, national, international news written for us and by us, and really the whole of humanity by uh, very passionate editors and writers of different columns. There's a number of different sources. You have a health and wellness section. You have spiritual based articles. You have articles on socioeconomics. You have articles related to health, wellness, and vaccines and whatnot. But a lot of information in this newspaper. So go to finalcalldigital.com to take out your digital subscription. Also, if you're local to Philadelphia or the Richmond, Virginia area, make sure to tap in. You can DM myself or Brother Tariq, and we can get you your copy. Make sure you follow the Final Call newspaper on social media at Final Call newspaper as well. So with that, we are at the end of this awesome show. Remember, family, we are always looking to grow our platform. So if you want to support the STEM Files, you can do so via Cash App at the STEM Files, or you can text 770-695-7912 for other methods. That's hashtag the STEM Files to endorse us in that way as we continue to grow our platform. Danielle, as I said, this show is all about you. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I would say, even now while school is in and all that, stay motivated. I know this past couple years has been crazy.
Yep.
So whether you're in school, whether you're out of school, I just hope that you stay encouraged, stay motivated with whatever goals you have in life, because you can achieve them.
If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. I
Yes.
need you. You gotta say that again for me. Shoot, I gotta keep working through my own things, right?
Oh man.
Okay. We got Michael. Wait, Michael Jimerson here. Said, beautiful show, family. You guys have got a new fan. Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Michael Jimerson. Looking forward to you to tapping in for future shows. Make sure you go back to the YouTube channel and check out that previous heat. We've been doing this for a little while now. We have a lot of wonderful guests that have come on before today. So with that, where can people contact you if they have any questions, want to get involved, or learn more about what you do from the electrical side, but and also even tapping into HBCU STEM?
Yeah. So you can find me at HBCU STEM Education Run. Yep. HBCU STEMmer on IG. So DM me if you have questions. It's me and my friend that manage that. So if there's any technical questions or any collabs you want to do, We host different lives throughout the month. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to us and we'll get connected. And for the race, definitely go to our Instagram and you can find out more information there. The link is in the bio.
Awesome. Definitely. Make sure you tap in, family. And Michael said, I had to stop the one with Brother Nuri to come here. Awesome. So he was already tapped in. That's what's up. So thank y'all so much, family. Again, this has been another edition of the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture, where we do our best to highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I am your humble co-host, your brilliant engineer, typically joined by Tariq Cardiac, who was busy this evening, unfortunately, and joined by our wonderful guest, Danielle Lewis, electric vehicle systems engineer. This has been Electric Cars and the women who make them. Until next time, family, stay tapped in, keep growing, keep striving, stay humble, and looking forward to you on our next installment. Until next time, family. Peace.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you.